We're out of that business.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would need a motion and a second at this time to adopt tonight's agenda.
I make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Approval of April 1st, April 4th, and April 15th minutes. I would need a motion and a second on that.
There's a couple of things that I want to clarify on the April 4th and the April 15th minutes should both say called meeting. They were not a regularly scheduled meeting. And on April the 15th, on the back side, after Commissioner Morris requested to be recused, but then we decided that it was okay for him to vote. I think that needs to be noted that we decided it was okay for him to vote because 5 people voted, and so we need to clarify that.
Is that April 15th?
That was April 15th minutes. It's on the back side. Very top sentence.
If the minutes could be approved with those adjustments, I'll make those adjustments.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the adjustments for April 4th, where it wasn't not a regular scheduled meeting, and for the one April 15th, where Scotty has to be excused, but he went on to vote.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Public comment. Citizens may speak on items not listed on the printed agenda. Please state your name and address and observe our 3-minute time limit. Thomas and Pam Duffy. Good evening, glad y'all are here.
Good evening, my name's Thomas Duffy. I live at 271 West Salisbury Street. And what I see every day, people zooming up and down the road here, even during school time. The lights are flashing and they're not even slowing down. I don't know if anything can be done about that. That's what
Well, I can address that, but I would rather a police chief. Would you mind speaking to that?
Be glad to. We have been short-staffed. We're building the department back up. Unfortunately, we have to send folks to a week radar class.
Okay.
We are working on that as well. We did put the speed sign out there, so we're monitoring speed and we can actually pull statistics from what those speeds are. We recognize we need more speed enforcement, and that's one goal that I have. Got a complaint recently on South Main of the exact same issue. So once we get people trained, we're going to do more speed enforcement. I actually sit on South Main and stopped the vehicle myself the other day that was speeding, and he knew the guy that had complained. So we had a long conversation, and he said, "Hey, I wasn't as careful as I should have been today, but I appreciate you bringing that to our attention." I agree with you, and unfortunately, it's not just there. It's other places.
I've seen it everywhere too.
So once we get our full complement back, and I promise you we're working diligently to do that, I assure you, sir, that we're going to try to do a better job of enforcing the speed law.
I appreciate it.
Because we believe in it, and I have seen people at the post office, elderly people with canes that can barely walk, crossing. And I have a great fear that one of our citizens is gonna be struck one day by a motor vehicle. So, I'm with you, I agree with you.
Okay.
And I promise you, as time goes on, you're gonna see a difference. And we're already writing speeding tickets. It's just that we don't have enough people certified.
No.
But we are aware, but I greatly appreciate you bringing it to our attention. And anytime you see anything, I've got an open door, pay me a visit.
Okay.
I want to hear from what the citizens think and what you need, because that's, our power comes from the people. This badge means nothing without the support of people like you.
Okay.
So thank you, and I appreciate it, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Dutton.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, when he said that about worried about people crossing at the post office, I don't know when it changed, but it used to be there was a sign out in front of the post office, you couldn't make a U-turn. And I see people making U-turns all the time right there in front of the post office. To me, it's dangerous when cars are coming, because I have seen narrow escapes where somebody's U-turning and somebody's going up the road real fast. And I didn't know when that changed.
I'll have to say, Commissioner Hogan, I don't recall that being there in the time I've been here, but you definitely reach out to DOT and ask them to look into that.
I've often wondered why we don't have a cross, I know that's a DOT road, but I've often wondered why we don't have a crosswalk at the post office there.
There were several years ago, Mayor Moore, that we did look into that and did reach out to DOT when we were doing the proposed upgrades to the market area to
Yeah,
have a pedestrian crosswalk out of there, but DOT didn't approve it at the time.
thank you, Mark. I'm Gene Norris. We'll keep them last. Yeah.
My name is Imogene Morris. I'm a resident of Denton on 225 Bombi Road. I'm here tonight to say thank you to the town for your safety and compassion of the recent functions that have been in the town of Denton. The Lamb recognition and the antique car show, the mini farm park antiques, and also the memorial fundraising event at Larry Furr's, sponsored by the Brotherhood of Firemen, and all the other events throughout the year, the safety and the compassion that the town provides and supports for them. It's evident that our community comes together in support of a cause. I think I'm going to duplicate, I didn't know what the agenda was going to have, but I think I'm going to duplicate that just a little bit. Established by the joint resolution of Congress in 1962, President Kennedy signed a proclamation that the month of May would be National Police Month, and the week that the 15th fell on would be National Police Week. And when President Clinton came on board, he amended and signed a law directing that the United States flag be flown at half-staff at all government buildings every year on May the 15th. With Chief Hicks serving Denton for 30 years, I don't ever remember going to an event that he and or his officers were not there. Memorial Day, 4th of July, Love Lights, Christmas, they were always there. And those that were before him were there to serve and protect. And Chief James is the same. They are always on patrol. Wherever I go with all the events, and I attempt to go to all of them that are here and that I can, whether it's the bridge signing, whether it's the events downtown, Chief James and/or his people are there. And Chief James, I want to thank you, take this opportunity to thank you and all the men and women who serve and who risk their lives each day on the line of duty to serve with integrity, to uphold and enforce the rule of law. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your watch care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. The month of May is National Motorcycle Awareness Month. At this time, would Jim and Sue Everhart come forward?
I'm extra. I'm always extra.
We have a proclamation that I'd like to read this time. Whereas many Denton residents and visitors to our community enjoy the highways and country back roads on their motorcycles and riding through the many scenic areas our county has to offer. And whereas, along with the enjoyment comes the responsibility to operate motorcycles safely. And whereas it is important that citizens of Denton be aware of motorcycles on our roadways and recognize the importance of motorcycle safety and sharing of the roadways. Whereas the safe operation of the motorcycle is enhanced through a combination of rider training, experience, good judgment, and a knowledge of traffic laws and licensing requirements. Whereas the town of Denton Municipal government joins the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program, state and local law enforcement agencies, the North Carolina Motorcycle Safety Education Program, Bike Safe North Carolina, Concerned Bikers Association of North Carolina, and motorcycling organizations interested in the promotion of motorcycle safety and awareness in North Carolina. And whereas May is traditionally observed as a time to remind and encourage other motorcycle vehicle operators to be cautious and observe motorcycles, especially during their season return to our streets and highways. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Denton of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2024 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in the town of Denton, and urge all motor vehicle operators to join in our efforts to keep our highways and roadways safe. In witness thereof, I hereunder set my hand and cause the corporate seal of the town of Denton to be affixed to this 6th of May, 2024 document.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm very good, by the way.
Alan,
These are all our commissioners.
Appreciate it.
Jim have all right?
Sure. And you gotta sign a copy for you.
And I'm Sue Everhart. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Get y'all's picture.
And I wanted, if I may, our friend Diddy Alston is the one that sent the note, and she apologizes for not being here. She wanted to be here so and just wasn't able to, so.
Please tell her we missed her. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. She likes to take pictures.
We like having our picture made.
Do you?
That's right. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all
Thank
for
you for
being
being
here.
here.
We do appreciate it.
would like to say real quick, Mayor,
Yeah, absolutely.
members of the committee, the Davidson County Concerned Bikers Association was actually started in the year 2000. We've been going strong for 24 years. Up until this year, we've always petitioned the city of Lexington and Davidson County. This year, we've reached out to each and every city entity within Davidson County, and we have had such a great response. And we would like to thank you for bringing motorcycle and awareness and safety to your agenda and to your citizens. We enjoy riding these back roads, the Antique Motorcycle Show at Denton Farm Park. Thank you very much. This is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being Thank you for being here.
Proclamation, excuse me. Proclamation National Day of Prayer. It was on May the 2nd. If you look in your packet, I'm sure you already have it. We have that proclamation in there. Tonight, we're not going to read it because it's in the past. Going forward, we'll be doing this in April. Is that okay with everybody?
That's one part then.
Update from engineering firms on current projects. LaBella.
Mayor, if you don't mind, before she comes real quick, I just want to say, I think you and I talked about this earlier, but for the proclamations for our employees,
Okay.
if you don't mind, I just want to make note of this. So we do have 3 proclamations that we recognize in the month of May, the first being our town clerk. And Paula has come in, hit the ground running with the position of clerk, and we appreciate all that you do and the department to make things run smoothly here at Town Hall. And we greatly appreciate that. So this is the week that we recognize town clerks for that. The National Police Week is May the 12th through the 18th. I can't say enough about the police department. We have been a small number, but we're growing, and so we are thankful for that. We are thankful for all the work that they do, keeping our community safe, and also listening and hearing what the citizens have to say and being a part of the community. So, Chief, we thank you for that. Also, our Public Works Week, which takes in our public works, our water, sewer, and infrastructure. Guys, we couldn't do this job without y'all. You're a backbone. You're the ones that are out in the field seeing and doing what has to be done. We really greatly appreciate that. We recognize you guys the month of May, 19th through the 25th. So we've got some fun things we'll do this month, but just to say thank you. We really do appreciate you.
At this time, we'd like to hear an update from our engineering firm, and we'll start out with LaBella. Hey Heather, how are you?
Good, how are you doing this evening? I'm Heather Miller with LaBella Associates to talk about the 4 ARPA projects that we are currently working on for the town. The first one is the Town of Denton Waterline Replacements Projects. First of all, the state and local fiscal recovery funds report that is due yearly by April 30th for this specific project was submitted by the required deadline. Survey is complete. We began the end of last week the design of the water line, the added water line along West First Street between Hewlin and Bingham. We propose to have the preliminary design completed by this coming Friday for delivery. I believe I should have a set of drawings, preliminary drawings by tomorrow to be able to look over. And then we will deliver those to the town for their review. And while the town is reviewing the drawings, we will update the DWI submittal paperwork and all the permit applications / permits that we have already received for the project for the initial submittal that we had made in order to add this additional street along with pulling quantities and coming out with a more updated cost estimate. The Division of Water Infrastructure, or DWI as I will refer to them, is in receipt of the completed funding offer documents. Therefore, reimbursement can begin now. The Denton Wastewater Treatment Plant bar screen screw conveyor replacement project, we have received the needed information from the vendor and manufacturer, and I have added that information into our drawings. We are currently updating the project specifications and the required DWI submittal paperwork with the additional information that is required to be submitted along with the construction documents. I believe DWI is in receipt of the funding documents for this project also. And I have provided Troy, I had sent him the additional information we received from the vendor via email once we had received it, but I gave him some hard copies tonight, so he has those. As for the Denton Wastewater Treatment Plant Modification Study, we have begun work on the project, and we have a preliminary assessment of the steps needed to allow for the second oxidation ditch to be used. I am currently working on a memorandum to discuss our preliminary findings to make sure the town of Denton is in agreement with what we are suggesting be done and whether or not how they want us to proceed with it. The town of Denton identification and repair of infiltration and inflow into the wastewater collection system. We have moved ahead with the project, continuing to hold discussions with our subcontractor Transstate, who we will be contacting with to complete the cleaning, CCTV, and smoke testing for the project. We have developed a scope and a fee associated with the scope. And then with Transstate, we have also had continuing discussions to determine the best way to collect, analyze, and present the findings. At this time, it does not appear that DWI has provided the town with a funding offer. And so once these documents have been received by the town and returned to DWI, we will schedule with the subcontractor to start. Our worry is we will get them started. We will go for reimbursement. The state will once again, like they did with the water line project, say we haven't given you a funding offer, and then we will not be able to pay our subcontractor. So I have reached out to the state. I talked to somebody last week who was going to look into it. He was the fourth person I had to talk to about it. So he was going to do his research to figure out where everything stands with all of the projects and all of the funding offers. So those are the 4 ARPA funded projects that we are currently working on. One other project that we are working on that is not ARPA funded, but is a grant, is a stormwater planning grant. This project is being coordinated with our stormwater group for completion, and this group has begun working on the project, familiarizing themselves with the content of the approved scope letter that was approved by the state, and getting themselves familiar with the July 2022 Town of Denton Stormwater Inventory Report that was prepared by the Piedmont Triad Regional Council, as what we are doing as part of that project is based upon that report. Does anybody have any questions?
So when we're gonna be turning ground on something?
So if I believe the water line project could be out end of the summer, depending upon DWI's review time on it. The same goes for the bar screen screw conveyor replacement also. The water treatment plant study is just a study, so we will provide you with our options for that. And then as soon as I can get some confirmation as to where the offer of intent or the funding offer is for the I&I, our subcontractor is ready to go. And then can come and we'll do all of the work that we have scoped out to be done for that.
So the bar string, it's still in design, or?
No, we have that. We are working on the DWI document paperwork and including into the specs the additional information that we received from the vendor. Any other questions?
What do you call that ditch out there? You had to raise it up and build it high.
The oxidation ditch.
Right. Are we doing that?
Yes,
That's
that is what
included in this project.
That is what this study is. It's just
Okay.
a study to try to figure out what can we do to that oxidation ditch in order for it to be usable.
What do you think on that?
Our preliminary findings, the issue is the oxidation ditch and all the equipment inside of it is 3 feet higher than what the original, the old oxidation ditch is. The easiest way, the way without having to add additional pumps, additional piping, would be to lower all the equipment in the new oxidation ditch to match the elevation of the equipment in the old oxidation ditch. The issue with that is how much capacity then do you lose, because it is a significant amount. And so then is that worth doing all that work to lose that amount of capacity for it? We also have another idea that if you can't use it for an oxidation ditch because you don't find that it's going to be as useful as you anticipated it to be, we could change that into an equalization tank to provide some more storage that way.
Can you raise the walls? Would that do the same thing as lowering the pumps?
You would have to then in the old one raise the walls on that and then raise all the equipment in that one, which would give you additional capacity in that one, but we would have to check and then see how that affects the hydraulics that are currently there.
Is there anything we can do to expedite the funding and all that?
I want to have another, I don't know, I wish I knew, because then I could be a millionaire by sharing that information. I want to be able to see what I don't know if he's a reviewer of the projects, what he comes up with, where everything stands. I will then relay that to Angel, and then the decision can be made and how we can, if we want to push it further to get the funds.
When you said the oxygenation ditch and maybe talk like in doing it a different way, so what's the main purpose? I mean, is it functional the way it is?
No, because no flow gets to it currently.
Okay, so by stabilizing, it's, balancing out, and then you talked about maybe even doing something completely different. What would that be?
Well, we haven't looked any further than that right now. We want to get an idea from the town if what we are proposing, before we just run around in circles, if what we're proposing is essentially good enough, or if they want us to try to find other ways to make it work.
Any more questions for Heather? Thank you very much.
Thank you so
much. Summey engineer. Hey.
Yes. I'm here tonight to talk about the situation with some pressure issues in the Broad Street area.
Right.
And what we've done, I sent a map here. This is a working map. I've got some copies here. I'll be glad to spread out if you would like me to. We've kind of taken a two-pronged approach on this. The first phase, and that's kind of what we've been doing, is we're trying to make sure that before we spend a lot of funds or spend a lot of your money on that side, so you don't see that. We're trying to determine to make sure that your existing system is operating properly. This stems from when the water tank up above Broad Street, when the pumps come on to fill that tank, it drastically pulls the pressure down in that area. And we're looking at the reasons behind that. There could be several reasons. It could be, it didn't really happen until that was put in there. So we feel like it's a result of, there can be the connections going to that area are not properly open. The water's not getting there as much water as should be getting there from your system. There could be valves broken. All systems all water systems everywhere are open. I mean, there's not very many brand new water systems. So we're trying to check the valves to make sure that they're functioning properly, make sure that the water's getting through there. It should be getting there. And if that's the proper amount of water is getting there to that area, then we can determine, do we need to hook something somewhere else? We need to upgrade something. We need to do that. But right now we're in the process of trying to find all the valves. Some of the valves, nobody's fault, just been paved over. We're trying to find them. We're trying to get on them to make sure that they're all functioning properly. It's just, it can work today, maybe not work tomorrow. Some of them can be closed when they should be open. We just contact in the second phase is we're looking at, is there other connections that can be made to alleviate this problem if there's not enough water there. We contacted Handy today, and we're looking at opening a line up that's been closed for several years over on the Jones Street side. And that's a possibility which may quickly solve some of that problem. We don't know just yet. In talking to them today, there's some issues with the metering over there. They had some issues years ago. That's the reason it was cut off. So we're looking at why is that. So we're going to investigate that. But we went out today and we looked at the maps, and hopefully what we're going to provide your public works department is a functional, a little bit functional, better functional set of maps. It's got all the valves, line sizes, something that they can use and upgrade very easily because it always changes. It's always changing. So that's our approach that we're taking. And we found several. We found a few valves that are just like the main valve going in on Broad Street. When we initially checked it, it was about over halfway closed.
Wow.
So we opened that up, but it still didn't. When we had Handy turn the pump on, it still had a drastic drop. And there's a lot of things you can do. There's some slow. You can turn the pumps on slow, so they don't just hammer and make it large. They don't pull the water out of the system so fast they come on slow, allow the water system to gradually recover. So that may be a solution. So we're looking at several items. Before we spend a lot of money, we want to make sure that we're spending it the right way. That's what we're attempting to do. I'll be glad to answer any of y'all's questions.
You don't gotta have any questions, do you?
Yeah, just ask. I had a lot
What
of
kind of
questions.
time frame we're looking at? I mean, we've been messing with this for 6 months and we don't
Yeah.
seem to be getting anything done, and you come today to check the valves?
Well, no, I've been over here 5 or 6 times. We came today and we looked at some specific points that I didn't know exactly how they worked. And I actually found out that I thought they worked by the maps. I thought they worked a different way. But the gentleman that was with me today, Al, he showed me a couple things that I actually had wrong. I had opened up some things and checked some things that I thought they were. I actually opened up I thought it was a 10-inch valve, but it wasn't. It was a 6-inch valve. But the 10-inch valve is open. I went back today when he showed it to me. He said, "No, it's over here." So we found that and did that. There's a lot of things like that, and we hadn't spent a lot of time here. But I'm thinking in the next couple of weeks we should have an answer to this problem. We'll know what we're going to do with the other connection.
Yeah, could we not just turn thermos on for a week and see what happens?
We can if it's functional. They said today that the last time they turned it on, that evidently the backflows didn't work. They said I don't know why they replaced it, but they said they replaced a check valve and it still was registering backwards.
Well, I'm surprised they don't like that.
Yeah, they should like that. Y'all shouldn't like that,
Yeah.
but they should.
How many valves are they that you're talking about?
In
The whole, that line that you're talking about, the valves, some being closed, some
well, it's the whole area.
How many?
There's probably could be 100.
100.
Yes, there's a lot of valves over there.
That's all we got on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of valves in that area, and like I say, they're old, and I don't know how old your system is, but it's probably old, but we've turned a lot of them. They seem to be functional. The ones we have, there's a couple that we can't get to. And there's nothing about this that's easy because there's no way to do this, but you got to dig it out. You got to dig it out and get to it. And that's in the middle of a road most of the time, in an intersection that's tough. And you guys hustle a lot, and that's just more work for them to do. But we're going to try to get all of our questions on paper and say, these are the ones that we can't tell if they're working. We need to check those. And the only way to do that is isolate. You just have to turn valves off, turn a hydrant on to see if water's getting through. If the water that you thought was getting through there is not getting through there, you've got a problem that you need to address. So,
What about the 10-inch valve at 3rd Street? The 10-inch line at 3rd Street?
Is that over there? Let me see which one you're talking about here.
Right there, up from Thermo.
This one here.
Could be, I can't see.
Yeah, that valve's open. I checked it.
But there's a line there, there's a 10-inch line there, we think dead ends there.
Well, I don't know if it dead ends. We did figure out today that there's a valve right here. This valve that I've got drawn here, that's not what that valve does. That valve doesn't work that way. there's a line that comes down Second Street and turns into that. That valve is on Second Street. There's a valve right here that we can cut that valve off right there, and then we can determine if that works. And hopefully that's what we're going to do next week. Just got to be careful when you do that, because you got businesses that you go to turn the water off. It's probably not a good thing. So I got to get with Michael and determine how they want to do that. But there is a valve right here that we can cut off, and we can determine if that line is functioning.
Is that 10 inch we're talking about, Michael?
Yeah,
It comes in from,
it goes into that ball on the side of 47, what we done.
Yeah. We think it did in there, right?
That's what everybody's always told me, because
It
there's
might.
a water tank there in the Jefferson Gold parking lot.
I don't know that. I'm new. I wasn't here when it was done. I've been doing it a long time, but I was doing it in a different city.
Yeah.
But I don't see any reason where that thing is going. They may have went past the water line and just went to that valve. I have no idea. But it won't take but just a few minutes. We can find out. We can turn that valve off and turn that and see if there's still water. If there's water on the main, well, that's off.
It's coming up, not coming off 10 inch.
It's coming off the 10 inch.
Coming off 10
It'll be coming off the 10 inch, yeah. If you turn that valve off on that 6 inch and it's still got water on it, it's gonna be coming off at 10 inch. Now the 10 inch is open.
Yeah, our thought was, where's it going?
Yeah.
We know it's open, but where's it going?
I would have thought they would have tied that into that line going down the road. They may not have.
Unless it's dedicated for that
Could-
building where
it-
the sprinkler
it could-
system and the water tank was at.
It could have been. Yeah, they could have run it there. And we've actually purchased a locator, so that 10 inch is AC. You can't locate it. It's not I can't hook my locator in. I can locate the main line and see what's happening out there. So that's it. And talking to the gentleman that handy today, I told him, I said, we really want to turn that on. He was really concerned about the water quality down there. I said, well, there's probably some bad water down there, but we're just gonna have to get it out.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to get it out. And they got a couple connections. He said they had 2 service connections down there that we could open up, take the meters out and open up and blow it off. So and we just need to turn it on, see if it.
Yeah.
You got
Pretty
76.
simple.
We checked the 2 hydrants at the bottom of the hill today, and there's 76 pounds of pressure
And thermo.
on thermo and the other side over there too. There's 76 pounds on that one also.
Fletcher Lane.
Yeah, Fletcher Lane. I checked that one too. And so now the water wasn't great when I opened that fire hydrant down there. I mean, but it's at the bottom of the hill. That's where your grit's gonna go. But I think that's probably our first thing next week is if you can open that line up, if you don't mind.
No.
If this line is hooked to this line and you open this up, you give another connection to this.
Yeah.
I told
It's in pretty
the
simple.
guy from Handy today, what I would do, if I'm gonna cut something off, I'd cut that meter off and make it pull this water from here, if it's functional. But
Because it's a 10-inch line
yeah, it's 10 inch line over here.
versus a 6.
Yeah, and you don't have near the water usage over here as you do over here. It appears like that there's 3 connections to this area. There's one coming up 109, a 6 inch. You got one here on Main Street that comes across a 6 inch, and then you have a line on Salisbury that goes in. If all these valves are functional, and I checked a lot of them, this one here I cannot. There's a couple here that I cannot tell. They're out in the road, and I couldn't get a wrench on them. But if they're functioning, there should be enough water here out of these 3 to if they do some variable speed on this pump here, there may be enough water to keep it from pulling down. This line right here falls within a second when that pump comes on. It drops 20 some pounds within 1 second.
Wow.
That's at the end of Broad Street. There we go.
Yes. We were standing there. He was over there. He turned the pump on. We were standing right there. That thing fell 20 pounds in a second. So that kind of tells you that it's sucking the whole area out. It's not. There's probably not enough water coming in to support that.
Well, let me ask you a question. So, and forgive my uneducated brain for asking this, but you're going through to make sure the current system is functioning properly.
Yes.
But have we checked to make sure that it was installed in accordance with the engineered plans when they added this connection on.
You're talking about the pump here.
Correct.
I didn't, I wasn't tasked with that. Now, I looked at the study and it looked like from the study, it was supposed to come off this side over here. But I wasn't involved in,
Well, that's
in
my
that.
question.
Yeah.
You know, if our system's working properly, you know, I always go back and make sure it was done the way it was supposed to be done, and that's my question.
And we can look at that study if you want us to see.
Thank you.
I briefly looked at it, and I briefly looked at it, and it looked like it was originally, and they could have went back and revised it. I don't know, but they could have went back and revised it. But it was originally, I think, supposed to come off of this side over here.
So is it difficult to determine if there were revisions? Are those plans filed somewhere?
I don't have any. I do not know.
Okay.
I mean, wouldn't it be filed with DWQ or some of those acronyms?
Maybe. Do you know, Michael?
They should get a copy of them somewhere.
Yeah.
It might take them 6 months to find them. Somebody's got a copy of them.
Somebody had to. Most of the time, you don't put a line in.
I
See, but they actually didn't put any lines
Mike
in.
asked
They just
for
hooked
that
up.
from
They put the
engineering
meter over here.
firm.
They had time.
Asked for it. Yes. So Mike Summey asked for that information from their engineering firm, so it may be something Mike has that I haven't shared with you. But
Okay.
he
Yeah, he
did
may
ask
have it.
for,
I know
he did
you have
ask their.
somebody.
Yeah.
I knew we
Andy's
talked about
attorney-
that.
Andy's engineering firm.
And
for
we
that
can
information.
do that.
Yeah.
Because if in fact, the original engineering called for it to be over here, and it was not done that way,
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And that could be, there may possibly, what we were trying to do before we hooked anything else, before we laid any lines or anything else, we just want to make sure this is working properly. Make sure your valves are open, because that gives you future, you need to get a baseline to make sure that all this is working correctly. We're getting all the water we can get in this area right here. And then, I asked a long time ago with the handicap, I said, why is that closed?
Yeah.
Why is that valve, why is that meter closed right
I mean, it don't make any sense to me, but I'm just a,
No, it makes no sense to me either, why you would have a feed and cut it off. But he told me today that they were having trouble with the meter. Now, I don't know.
Jay told me when they built the tank, it put more pressure in the system, and our side provided, and it was backflowing through the meter into us.
Yeah,
But the one hydrant y'all tested on the collector, that don't come off 47, that comes off.
that comes off the other side.
yeah, from the projectors.
That comes off from back here. It comes up this way and comes over here. That's what she was wanting me to check that today, just to see. And if there's enough flow here, you may can hook that together very easily, right there. And that'll also give you a loop.
We need to hook it anyway for,
Yeah. And I think it needs to be, because that keeps it
that one out
dead
in
end.
there don't work, it then, whatever,
Yeah.
is that Fletcher that Summey's, or Schuler's?
Yeah, right there. Yeah. It's got 76 pound pressure. I don't know if it's got any flow, but it's got 76 pounds of pressure. So if
The
you,
only reason it had so much pressure when y'all tested is because we got the system completely full.
okay.
Every water tank, everything's completely full right now.
Look, can I ask you a question? How much does it fluctuate on a regular day?
How handy feels today.
Yeah. I mean,
If they decide to fill a million gallon swimming pool up Camp Walker Johnson and not tell us, we're in.
Okay, so y'all were pretty much depending on what they do, whether y'all got water.
It's like the booster pump, they put in on whatever night, they didn't tell us about it. Fulls us empty when it runs for 4.5, 5 days without being shut off.
And he said this one runs 7 hours. It came back when we checked it.
It's gonna take that long to fill up.
He said it takes 7 hours. He said it runs 6 to 7 hours, but it dropped 27 pounds and then came back up 20 pounds when we were standing there. It came back, within a
How long did that take?
minute or so. It came back,
So it came back within a minute.
but it didn't come off. It was within about 7 to 10 pounds less when it was running. Yeah. That's why I'm saying a variable speed would probably maybe ease some of that, but I think you open that up, that gives you a flow.
Yeah, that seemed like
That's
a pretty
probably
simple fix if that worked.
Exactly. And I'm hoping next week that we can do some investigation on that and just see. Now, that might not be an easy thing. I don't know. I hadn't been over and looked at it, but,
And I think that whole connection thing has been our $64,000 question the whole time, that we.
yeah, I don't have any idea. I mean, I just, don't make sense to me. A backflow preventer should keep it from backflowing.
Yeah, that's the idea.
There shouldn't be no water coming through a backflow preventer. You know, if there's more water on this side, more pressure on this side, it's going that way.
Right.
More pressure on this side, it closes it, it won't come back. So just go
All
ahead.
they having that meter is a swing check and the seats rested.
You think so?
I looked at it.
Yeah. So you're saying that,
We investigated it a few years ago. If we ever had to have water from handy, I could pull the lid off and pull the check out and back feed from handy. And when we pulled it out, it's just a swing check with a rusty seat. I mean, that's what it is,
so that's what the problem is?
most likely.
That should be an easy fix.
Yeah.
You put a new check valve on it. He said they put one on it and it wouldn't work. Now, that don't make no sense to me. So, I mean, nature of a check valve, it closes.
Just took it out and
Yeah.
put it in.
Yeah. So,
You think you'll have us some answers in a month?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're gonna try to come down and do some locating in terms of valves and, really they're gonna work with the fire department, try to get some static pressures at a lot of different places so that we can tell. But like Michael said, one of the issues is when you get your static pressure, what's the elevation of the tank? So that's one thing we gotta figure out. Like the day that we got those, it was 27 pounds. That's what the pressure on that hydrant was. Well, the tanks weren't full. It should have been by elevation, by taking the elevation of the tank and the elevation of the ground, it should have been 35. So that probably tells you that the tanks were not full. That's the reason it was down 7, 8 pounds. So, but that's where we are. And that's the approach we're taking, is to try to make sure everything's working correctly and then take one piece at a time and figure out it. But I think that meter is going to be a big piece of the
The
puzzle.
meter in that 10-inch line, I think it was,
Yes.
if it's working or not working.
Yeah. If it's hooked to it, and if it's not hooked to it, that's not a major deal
Yeah.
to hook that to it.
If it's not, you're gonna gain a lot.
Yeah.
We know it's already hooked to it one road up. 'Cause me and Marty Robbins hooked it up.
On
So
Second
there's already
Street,
a 6-inch line hooked to the 10 one road up. That's not hooked in the place where it crosses 47, it's hooked the next road up.
That's the one right
It's
here.
hooked in.
It comes off of this.
it's hooked up at Steve Marsh's?
Yeah,
Okay.
we run it straight across right there.
Comes across right here and ties in. Right. That's what he told me today. I ain't opened that valve. I
I don't
thought
see it's
that
gonna make no difference where we took 1 block away.
No,
It's hooked in.
but you know, it was,
it shouldn't. That shouldn't
I
matter.
think our thinking was it wasn't hooked at all, it was 6-inch, wasn't it?
That's what
So
I thought.
we didn't know that was there, but he showed that to me today, and then that one hooks to the side of this one, and there's a valve here. But we can tell pretty quick. You should be able to tell pretty quick. You can isolate a couple situations and figure that one out.
And that's the one that goes down the railroad, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one goes down here.
The 47, it's got a 2-inch line tapping it too,
So we
so.
can leave that there so you can look at it. Take it with you. I'm gonna get you a better one to work off of. Any other questions?
So I did reach out to Chief Dorset. He's gonna pull all the records. This is the testing month. They'll start testing all meters again, but he's gonna get Bobby what he needs in order to provide the current static pressures on all of the hydrants. And then, if the board would approve that Al Henry come back in and help him, and when Michael's not available, but just to have that extra input on these lines that we need.
He's got a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of knowing what's under the ground, and that's
I
priceless.
guarantee you that.
That's priceless right there.
You got an awful lot of other knowledge too, you're working on that too.
He probably explained
Willie
that.
Barber.
I rode around with him today. He's explained a little few things too. All right, thank you.
Approved Davidson County Flex System Security Agreement for Fire Department.
Chief Dorsett asked me to present this agreement to you guys. So the Flex program is something that they have used in order to gain information when they are called out on a call. It provides them more detail than just what a 911 call does provide to them. There was a situation where the system had been compromised, so from what I understand, the FBI was called in and they shut the system down. They did not allow any external access to this unless you were a registered user with this system. Commissioner Morris, you being the assistant chief, if you know any more information, if you can elaborate on that, would be great. But police department does use the system, but they each have their own login for their computers or in their cars. This would allow for the fire department to have access through their secure portal. They have to have a VPN assigned to the person who is using it. Chief Dorsett has asked if we can get 2 sign-ins for the fire department. One would be for the iPad that is in the truck, and the other would be for a town-issued phone for the chief to use, so they know information ahead of going on scene. And this does I think he said that their access to the system expires on the 8th, so as soon as we can get this turned around, hopefully they won't be without that information for very long.
What it does, it shows us in real time the call and what's happening. As the 911 dispatcher's taking it, it gives us the same as she's getting it. Or he.
So we do need a motion and a second to approve.
I would make a motion that we approve the Davidson County Flex System Security Agreement for the fire department.
Second.
Any further discussion needed on this? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Resolution R 2324-15. Call for a public hearing, alleyway closure between Daniel Street and Varner Street. Angel Jenkins.
Okay, so we have had a request to close the alleyway that runs between the properties that are listed on the information you have in your packet. It basically runs directly behind Denton Florist, Davidson Tire, Shabby Chic, or I always say that wrong, you guys know where I'm at. But it runs behind all of those properties in between Varner and Daniel. The house that's located directly behind Denton Florist and Davidson Tire are the ones who are requesting this alleyway to be closed. Did check with Michael, and there are no issues with water or sewer lines that run through there that would cause us not to be able to approve this. Because it is an alleyway closure, we do need to advertise it for 4 weeks. So you guys would need to call for the public hearing to be held in our June meeting so that we can do that advertising through the next 4 weeks in the paper.
Michael's gonna affect that drainage ditch down there anyway.
I hope if they close it, it becomes theirs.
Yeah, but they can't. Shut it
I mean,
down.
they can't damage it.
They can't damage that.
You're talking about the drainage ditch on Varner Street, just
Yeah, that runs from Varner all the way.
right.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we advertise public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Approved contract fiscal year 23-24 audit with Eddie Carey.
Okay, we did receive our letter of intent and our contract for this next coming year. Normally, we receive 2 separate contracts, one for Eddie Carey and one for Tony Brewer, formerly was Alan Pickett. But they've combined it into one audit this year. The cost has increased $5,000. They've not had an increase in the last 10 years. Total audit fee is $12,500. If there are any questions on that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve that with a $1,000 increase.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Review and award lawn care contract. Angel.
We advertised for this year's lawn care contract. We did have a current contract with, I apologize, with Angie Cranford, and he has had that contract the last 3 years. He had an automatic renewal contract, there were no issues, so that did renew for him. We did receive 3 quotes. One came in from Gillies Lawn Maintenance LLC, one from Cranford's, and one from Clean Cut Lawn and Landscaping. The breakdown is provided to you guys. There's not a lot of difference in the quotes. One is significantly less. I'm not familiar with that company. They are out of Winston-Salem, and they do have a contract with the city of Greensboro. They do over 200 acres of mowing for them weekly. Of course, we know the work that Mr. Cranford has done in Clean Cut Lawn and Landscaping. They have provided our abatement cleanup jobs that have been done over the last 2 years, and they're located out of Thomasville. We can award the whole contract to one company, or you could piecemeal it out. It just depends on what pleasure the board is.
That's a 3-year term, automatic renews.
We normally do, but it does give you the option that if after that first year, each year you could request either to change or to do a different contract with them. So you do have the option to look at it, but it is normally a 3-year renewal. Sorry, just making sure she was okay.
So it's just a 3-year contract and renewed, it's yearly contract and renewed for 3 years?
Yes.
And after 3 years?
And then after 3 years, we re-advertise.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any questions that you guys have on the printout that you've got?
So Cranford does a little bit of everything around the town, right?
Well,
They do the
They're all the same, they're all identical, right?
Yeah.
right, so the different locations are down the left-hand side of the paper. You've got Town Hall and EMS, which in the packet is outlined as to the areas that encompasses. You've got Civic Center, PD Fire Department, Railroad Street, Impound Yard, Harrison Park and Outdoor Market, Johnson Park, which is the one across the street from Elizabeth's Pizza, the cemetery, and water plant. Currently, as I said, Cranford's provide services now. And his quote was just, I think, about $59 difference than what he currently is.
It says monthly, but they mow them every 2 weeks, right?
Some of them are weekly, some are bi-weekly.
Okay, but
this
it's
is
not
their
monthly.
Right, this is their monthly charge.
Cost, but
Cost.
that's,
Right. So if you look at like total overall, some months have 4 months, some months have 5 weeks or 4 weeks. So it depends on how many weeks fall in that. I think we calculated there's 3 months that have 5 weeks, so that may vary just a little bit. But overall, it's taking the annual cost and dividing it by 8 months. Because they start mid-March and go through October.
so whatever, it's still $24,000. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
it's still $24,281
For Gilly.
for whatever they mow.
Right, right.
That's Gilly.
Yep.
That's if, yeah, and if you award the contract to one person.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he wants to split it. Just,
You said Gillies is out of where?
Winston-Salem.
And Clean Cut's out of Thomasville.
Yes.
Cranford's local.
Yep.
So is any
Well, do we have any, and it's probably in here and I just didn't see it, but do we have any places like that we know that Gillies has worked?
Only, one that they gave us was the city of Greensboro. They didn't provide any others. So I don't have any history on, their work or we could definitely ask him for more, if you wanted to do that, and have it awarded at the June meeting. Clean Cut provided 3 references. They even provided the town as a reference because, like I said, they do our abatement and they do a really good job whenever we've had to call them out to mow yards that are overgrown under code violations.
I think Clean Cut's out anyway.
Now, we've been dealing with Cranford for what, 3 years?
We've been
Not
working
longer.
we've been working with Cranford for 3 years. And on, just,
A big difference.
if you award it to everyone, then I know you're looking at overall costs, but if you did, section by section, there's differences in that as well. Seems like of course, the most is the cemetery.
But for the last 3 years, it's just been Cranford.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they do anything else besides us?
Cranford's? Yes. Cranford's is busy all the
I
time.
didn't know, I know I seen him here, but I hadn't really.
I mean, I don't have a problem with Cranford, but the price, that's the only problem I got.
Well, if we did parcel it out and gave the cemetery to Gillies,
They ain't
And
gonna
they're
take
not
it,
going-
they don't drive
They
from
will
Winston.
come.
okay,
That's my,
Yeah.
I don't know that, but that would be
Yeah,
my
that'd be
guess.
my-
yeah.
I think they'll mow that cemetery one time and realize they're way underbidded on that thing.
And it took them an hour to get here, an hour to get home.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot to deal with the cemetery, like I talked to them that do Tom's Creek. You're weed eating around every headstone and every footstone, and that's
Takes
all
the
I'm
time.
doing.
It does take
Yeah.
time.
I don't have any problem with sticking with
Yeah.
Cranford, they're local,
That's right.
and they've done us right as far as I know for the last 3 years. I don't think we've had any complaints, have we?
Well, they've been quick to address any concerns that we've had. There's been time to time, and I think that comes from changing employees that he has. He's suffered just like the rest of us with change of staffing from time to time.
Did Benji go up on his price? Is that
Just
what we've been paying?
About $58.
Is that all?
Yeah, my only concern for Gillies would be the cemetery, because
It's a lot. It takes a
well,
long time.
and you can mess something up in a hurry,
Yes,
as we've seen.
yes. You can.
Yeah, Benji replaced the headstones or
We've had
he's hit a
some-
couple of them and
Yeah, he's been good to take care of fixing that, but, you have to, some of them set higher, as you guys know, if you go over there, they're offset, the ground has shifted. So it's not like rolling over a flat surface. You
In
gotta
some
be-
places, it's like the earth is quaked over there.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I like having somebody local. I'm gonna make a motion to stick with Cranford.
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I'm gonna call for a vote.
Yeah,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? That motion carries. Review request for qualification, RFQ on call engineering and surveying services. Thank you.
We did an advertisement out for on-call services for engineering, and remember, this was to have an engineering firm who works with us basically day to day, if we had any issues, we'd call them up and talk to them, figure out what's going on, what the best solution would be, but also someone who knows our system, who knows the water plant, sewer plant, the infrastructure, and who is working for us, who's looking for the grants that are needed to do the work that we need done. Wooten, we worked with them on the I&I grant project over the last few weeks. They were really good to be quick to respond and help answer questions that we may have had in order to get that grant submitted by April 30th. A shout out to the guys. Thank you for all the information y'all provided. It was a lot. I'm not a grant writer. I realize that, and it takes a lot to put together and pulling from all directions. So Wooten was really easy to communicate with and to look at the information provided. We did only receive one company submit back for this project for being an on-call engineering surveying company. If you would prefer for us to re-advertise this just to see if there are any others out there, we can absolutely do that. You do not have to accept just the one that comes in. So that would be entirely up to you. We can send it back out again and ask for information. And this is the company that, go ahead.
Jason already worked with.
That worked with Montgomery County, that Jason worked with whenever he was there. And they do have a list of like all municipalities and counties they've worked with, as you can tell. That's their job. Miles Gallimore was the one who came out and met with water plants, sewer plant, and also public works to talk to them about the system. I was there with them. I was really impressed with their knowledge. They were talking shop. They were not just talking. And so that means a lot when you can know that they know what they're talking to the individuals about, the ORCs. I hope felt that confidence in them as well. So. And like I said, since we don't have anyone to compare that to, we absolutely can re-advertise if the board wishes, or if you want to.
We can compare it to LaBella, there's no problem.
So what's the pleasure of the board? Do you guys want to entertain talking to Wooten on doing this service for us, or would you rather advertise it back out?
Troy, Michael, Jason, what kind of vibe y'all get?
I work with Wooten, I know they're good at what they do.
Troy?
Times I've worked with them, they've been outstanding.
Okay. All I need.
Yeah, there's stuff like that I think's outstanding, just what they got here that you can look at.
I think it's consistency to go with Wooten.
All right, I will reach out to
Nice
them.
price, right?
I'll reach out to them and have them come to our June meeting if possible, and let them just introduce themselves, talk about the services that are available, and at that time, since you've chosen to talk to them now, you can talk to them about price. So we will we'll find out what they can do for us.
Presentation, fiscal year 2024, 2025, proposed budget.
Okay, Paul has got a lot of printouts to hand out to you guys. And look at.
Keep going.
Okay, so everybody gets.
Whole pack.
Don't separate.
You go to Jane and keep on now.
Still coming.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Your choice on your end.
Got your copies. When we held our budget retreat and heard the needs of each department, there was a lot of needs coming across every department and all avenues from town hall down through our enterprise fund as well to wastewater, water treatment plant. And looking at the budget this year, we have the things that we know for certain, and that is our property taxes as to what they're projected to be coming in now. So when you take your revenues and however they fall out based on the request is, it's not always easy. You've got to make some decisions and cuts as to what can be done and what could possibly wait. If you look at the first page of the proposed budget, that is your revenue accounts for your general fund. And,
What do you call the first page?
That one. It's just not colored.
Yeah.
It says proposed budget. I don't have it. I have it.
Here, I got one.
I'm still looking.
Right there.
Okay. The very last thing. Okay.
So, first page is your revenues for your general fund account. And, you know, just, it basically starts at your, ad valorem taxes for the coming year. And our rate is 0.60 currently, which is not the lowest in the county, but it is at 0.60. There is a slight increase, and we are seeing that due to the houses that have been built prior to January 1st of this year. Taxes run, even though we get our tax bills in July, they run January to December. So any house that has not been completed and sold as of January 1st, we will not see that change until next year. Okay? Even including businesses. We have 2 that are in construction now on Highway 109, so those will be reflected in next year's tax base. We are looking, if you look down through, there's not a lot of significant changes. We've got our power bill, of course, coming in is anywhere from 55 to 57,000, depending on what the state's able to release. Our sales tax is small growth this year. State is projecting that we may see 2% increase in that, but they're not looking at a larger amount.
Angela, is the estimated sign, is that where you're saying is got a proposed budget?
It's the estimated. I've not pushed it over. So what you're looking at in your estimated column is what we're saying.
What you're planning on
Yes.
requesting?
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that, because the system prints out when requested and recommended, but all of that's once it's approved. So your sales tax is a slight increase, and then you've got just everything else that falls out as revenue, which is, local contributions as far as like our festivals, our cemetery plots, zoning permits. If we have any loans, our garbage and recycling collections, things like that. We have proceeds from a loan indicated on here that we're going to look at for our police car that we projected into the budget. The second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What was one loan?
Yes, absolutely.
On the
Please
water
do.
sewer loan repayment,
Yes.
we're cutting it to 20,000. Is that gonna pay it off, what the water sewer owes the town, or?
It is not going to pay it off, but it is reduced because we need to balance the budget. And we usually have 40,000, and that's that loan that where the general fund loan money to the water sewer plant fund, 15 years ago, maybe.
Probably.
Maybe. So, at one time, we had that budgeted, but I don't know that it was being transferred over. So I'm actually going to ask Eddie if he can give us an update. From what I saw in our audit, we still have about 200,000 still to over, but I want to see if that's true. It was just based on what I could find from last year's audit. We have been doing 40,000, but in looking at where we are for this budget and not having to take more from our savings in order to budget, I've reduced it. Now, we can absolutely increase that back if the board is more comfortable in continuing with that 40,000.
Don't we need to keep up with what we said, that part of the 40,000 like we're supposed to? Then reduce it, I mean,
Well, the 40,000 was increased, it was increased to 40,000 in 2011, I believe. Because at one time, we were not receiving that money over. Then it went to 20,000, and then in like 2021, we increased it to 40. But we increased it because we could. But right now, our expenses are exceeding our revenues. So yes, that's a revenue to us, but on the enterprise fund, that's an expense. And right now, we don't have that. We possibly can do that once we look at our rate study and the revenues are increasing on that side, then we can go back to that 40,000. And we can make that change mid-year if we need to. Okay?
I just like to know what the balance is.
Yes, and I will let you know that. Like I said, when I was going through all of this, I pulled the audit reports, and based on that, it looked like 200,000, but that just seems kind of high because I'm not really sure. I'm not sure where it started, I'll be honest, but I will let you know that.
I was just thinking it was down more than that.
If you guys have any questions on revenues, if not, I'm gonna keep rolling forward. So on the general fund for the administrative department, we looked at, I think, did I print the salary information? Get back to them. Okay. So we had looked at last year and did an increase on the water plant, public works, and the police department. And we did a 7% increase across the board for those three departments. And in order to kind of split that up, this year we decided to do the administrative department, the fire department, and the wastewater department. In the budget before you, you have a 7% increase for those departments to kind of keep in line with what we did for the others. That is across the board on those, each of those three departments. What I gave you, I reached out to several different towns, and the only thing I really got back was what they're projected. Nobody really gave what they actually are making.
Well, record, they should give it to you.
Well, and I even looked.
Is it not?
I looked at the state Legier's, they publish, or the league publishes out salaries, and they don't have the current salary out there. They only have 22, 23. And I do know that this reflection of Thomasville is based off of their current proposed increase in salaries, and I know
the salary study.
Right, they've done theirs, and they've done a significant increase on theirs.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
what Mr.
But
Bryan
you're talking
said.
about 25,000 versus 1,500.
Well, yeah, they're looking at overall over $1 million increase in their salaries across all departments.
But any more towns similar to us, Rowland, Troy, Ramseur?
No, not really. I mean, if I listed out to the clerk's net, I listed out to HR listserv too, and we asked for specific departments, and we just did not get the response back. I don't know if it's because everyone's looking at their own and didn't have it shared yet, but they did not share the information with us. The other items that we looked at in the budget for covering for the administrative department was the sign at the top of Red Hill, which was originally looking at maybe $14,000. We're thinking now it's going to come in a little bit less than that. The mural is still something to be determined. We looked at a couple of locations and we reached out to the artist about that, but not sure on which direction we're going to go with on that. So that'll be something we'll look at this next year. And when we have a good cost, we can come back and ask for approval on those items. Computer upgrades for the two oldest computers in Town Hall. They are from 2017, and they are starting to slow down and cause issues with working day to day. the project for a pergola at Harrison Park, was projected at $4,000, I think. Paula has looked at a couple different options, but if it's part of what the board would like to approve, maybe having something there in that green area at North Main Street, in that little grassy area, to allow for something for the, those attending the park events.
Back up, tell me that again.
The pergola.
Which pergola?
The one that was proposed to be in the area on the north main side of the park in Apple Grove. I think I've got pictures
I
of
must
it.
have missed that one. I was here. I don't remember. Thank you.
That's all I have on there. I'm almost to be there.
Okay, I got it around that.
It's actually found the second design that would be a little simpler than that. We're entertaining to present, so the cost could come in a little less than initially thought.
So, and then the other thing that I did add into the budget was just some needed repairs that we need to make here at the bathrooms at Town Hall, and that is changing out the toilets in both the men and women's bathrooms and the one that's in the office, the main administrative office. They're not flushing correctly, and we've had plumbers come in and look at them, and he's just recommended that because of the age, they just need to be changed out. So that's what the projected $2,000 is there. On your police department, you have a vehicle. I talked with Chief James, and there were two separate vehicles that were proposed in his request, and not a lot of difference in the cost of either one, but he did say that if he were choosing one over the other, he would choose the Ford over the Dodge, and that was what I used to on the figures for the budget itself, and that is for the cost of the vehicle was
$52,181.
Cost of the vehicle was actually $42,181, and then all the upfit is $55,281, and then $58 would include any the decals and also tags for the vehicle. So, okay. The three rifles that were requested were an FN-15 with an 11.5-inch barrel. And there were two different ones there, but the chief said that the first of the two options was actually a better option. I tried to include that one so that we are not having to replace if the others don't last quite as long. 2 stop sticks, 3 Remington 870 shotguns, which are the less lethal. I do understand that those are actually hard to come by right now. They're on back order, but I did include them in our budget. 2 unlocking kits, 2 intoximeters, and then the Panasonic computers. We're going to try to get those for this budget year. I told Chief we would look through everything tomorrow once we got through this meeting. So we may have those covered in this budget for the vehicles, for the staff that we currently have as well. On your fire department request, you've got online training program that Chief Willis is asking for us to cover, and that is so that the guys can go in, they'll be able to log in to any of the courses that are deemed necessary and can go in at their own timing and get those done within the year. It does help with the training. It also helps with our status for our insurance ratings that they are having this online or they have training period, but this will be a much easier way for them to keep up with that and know what training is still needed per person.
And that 394167 is a commitment for 3. That's per year for 3 years, right?
Okay, the office computer, that would be replacing the computer, and I just estimate that cost off of what cost for the 2 computers for town hall were going to be. It may fluctuate just a little bit depending on if he needs any other, anything outside of what we currently have here. But our IT with Zero Stress Data would be handling that for them, do the installation and all.
Because he had originally requested 2,500.
Well, that's for a different computer.
Okay.
So I'll tell you about that one. The 3 sets of personal protective equipment at $18,000. The 10% to the chief's pay. The $200 I've added in for the flex for Davidson County that we just approved. The laptop that the chief asked for, he's looking at the Think Pads, which are a little bit more rugged. They're not just your standard laptop like from a Dell. He's used to those with Lexington. That's what they use. And they do run about $2,500. They are actually on sale now, and I've instructed him if he could go ahead and take care of that with this budget year, so we won't have it on next year's budget. And then we do have 2 fire grants out that we're waiting on confirmation for approval. And once those come in, we'll have to accept the funds and accept the expenditures of those grants. Okay, so that will come in later in the year. Your Public Works Department, we budgeted $10,000 towards getting the roof repaired. We are not currently having any problems with that, but we have been addressed by our insurance agent that it needs to be taken care of. So Michael has talked to people, but I don't think he's been able to secure anyone to do the work. But we have the materials to do the repair. We just don't have the company yet to do that. He did ask for funding to approve or to rebuild 2 engines, one on the motor grader and one on the generator, $10,000. Bucket truck and a service truck. Bucket truck at 30 and a service at 15. Funding for oil and filters to do oil changes on the equipment. And then to kind of skip down, tires for the backhoe, skid steer trucks, and the tracks for the mini hoe. The hydrant replacement, the hydrant new fittings, and the tool to do the change out, it actually falls under the water department. So we did budget $30,000 to do that. I talked to Chief Dorset and Michael about that, and looking at trying to do our main streets first, and then each year add to that. So doing Salisbury, North and South Main, and then next year taking another section at a time so that we can do those change outs and not having to do them all at one time.
Is 30,000 what they requested?
It is based on the fact of the cost being $1,500 for the tool and $350 per hydrant. There's 170 hydrants in town. I did that by third and multiplied it out. So,
Okay. The $1,500 tool, that's just one tool, right?
one tool.
Okay.
It's one tool. And that's for them to make the changes to those new fittings on the hydrants. in looking at the next section, it is our enterprise fund, and that is the 2,300 for our revenues. We are currently, since we've applied for the grant to do the asset inventory analysis for our water and sewer and our infrastructure, part of the request from DEQ is that we do that and then do a rate study. Because after you do this AIA study, it's gonna identify what our needs are. And we can do a rate study and increase our rates now, but DEQ feels sure that you're gonna have to do that again once this study comes in. So, they recommend to get your AIA and then turn around and do your rate study. There's a possibility that we may, have the study completed before year end and actually do a rate increase mid-year. That could be a possibility. There's a slight increase on our, charge for water. That is on growth. That's based on growth, of the system, water and sewer. As you can see, our one customer, that our largest customer, Handy Sanitary District, I am projecting an increase in that. We're currently at $460,000, and that's 10 months. They continually increase in cost, increase in usage, so or increase in revenues and increase in usage. So I am still projecting that to be an increase over the next year. Any questions on this section before we move on to expenses? Okay. On the loans, we will have one loan that will be paid off this year, one of the smaller ones, but that's the reflected difference in 266081. So one of our water and sewer loans will be paid off, I think, with the first quarter of this year. So, water and sewer administration is basically a mirror of what we have with just the administrative part of your general fund. It's your salaries for office staff, professional services that are reflective of town business and also water and sewer. And then your fixed, which is your FICA, your retirement off of those salaries. One thing that we didn't go into detail about, I mentioned in the email, is the increase in insurance across the board. We're seeing an increase in our liability, the general liability on all business, all buildings and the town business. We are also have received a projected increase on our health insurance. We do have a request into our agent to please look at that and see what other options are available. The first came in at 30%, and as many of you know, that's much more than what we've ever had. We've been, in the 8 years that I've been here, we've seen a 15% increase. There was one year that was a 17% increase. And then we've had decreases over the last 2 to 3 years. So to see a 30% increase is significant. And so we will be looking at changes. I did project that in this budget, but our hope is that we can make some changes that can benefit us and the employee as well. So I'll update you as I get that information from our agent. We do have a meeting with our liability agent tomorrow. Our current carrier is not going to renew with us in July. And so they are coming down to meet with us and talk about options that we have to see what other coverages can be made available. And it is the way of insurance right now. People are not writing as many policies, but they are increasing the cost on those that they do. So right now.
For health insurance, are you part of the pool?
We are not. We are still on one of those grandfathered plans that was before the pool was established. And so Randy Beasley is our agent, and he has, over the years, just recommended that we not join the pool, that we still remain in that grandfathered plan. but that might be the year that we do that. And we've also reached out to a couple other agents to ask if we can get some quotes from them as well, to see if there's something else available.
Is the current health insurance, is it employees only?
That's the only thing that we pay. We do
And
have.
we pay it 100%?
Yes, and we do have one employee that pays for spouse, and maybe one that has for a child. Yeah, so they pay that at full cost for their self.
And what's their current deductible?
2,000 deductible and 3,000 out of pocket. So total out of pocket 3,000. So it could be a possibility. I know when we looked at the 17% increase, they looked at if you raise your deductible, what's the fallout for that? So that will absolutely be something that we'll look at. So.
The pool you're talking about, was that the league?
No, it's the Affordable Care Act.
Oh.
Yep.
We moved to the Affordable Care Act
Mm-hmm.
a number of years ago, and it definitely has reduced.
Did make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know. I'm not really sure on the full reason behind Mr. Beasley's. It was a good plan, and it is a good plan. For anybody who's had to use it, they will say it's a really good plan. But, we've talked about, even with those the smaller increases, about, a shared cost in that, but how do you do that, and at what percentage and things like that. So we're trying to see, we can try to look at the Affordable Care Act, see if there's other options before going that route.
Because the reason I went to the Affordable Care Act is I was gonna have to do employees are gonna have to pay a percentage.
Right.
And we were able to find that, and
good.
it worked out better, for us.
And good coverage.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that, because we're exploring it for sure.
I do know, working with the agent before coming here, once you go to the Affordable Care Act, you cannot go back. So that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. So,
That is probably why he said stay grandfathered in.
yeah. And pre-COVID, they kept projecting that these plans were going to expire and that you would have to make that change. And then for whatever reason, the pandemic happens and they did not make these plans expire. So we've been able to still maintain that plan. And it's been an affordable rate, but 30% increase is just not, it's just not. See any other things on there, on that section that warrants any increase? On your water side, so with the water and the sewer both, we are looking at several different projects. Of course, you've got those that are being covered by your ARPA funds still, but on the water plant, based on what we get information back on the AIA, we will be looking at what can be accomplished, the funding that we receive from the state off of the budget. One of the things I know that Jason and Michael both have talked to the distributor is plate and tube sellers on the basins, which will help with runtime on the filters. So that's going to be one of our number one goals, is to get that in place in order to maintain filters for a lot longer. The sister plant that we have, they have these in place, and they went from how many hours, Michael? Was it 20 to?
It was like that, and a 100-foot basin on there.
Yeah.
Just what happens every time.
So it'll help in the long run. It'll go from, and it helps with not having to waste so much water, which has chemicals in it.
Yep.
And so,
Well, it costs us pretty good for chemicals, and that saves on cost of chemicals.
yes, absolutely. So that'll be definitely one of the things that we're gonna look at. And Kim has provided information back. He just gave an estimate of about $100,000, but I've not seen it in paper. And Jason's actually reaching out to another supplier who can give us a quote on both tube and plate settlers in order to see which one will be the best for our plant moving forward. We are looking at needing spare pumps and the building maintenance that Jason has listed is several items We don't have quotes on those. We're gonna work through getting, information back on those, but the chemical feed room the floor needs to be adjusted in there. So there's old, circles in the floor where the chemical, tanks used to be located inside the building, and they're now outside. And so there's an offset there. It needs to just be leveled off. And then the way that the tanks are set up in there as well, kind of restructured a little bit. So we're gonna be working on getting that as part of the, this year's change on the maintenance for the buildings. The SCADA system is installed. However, we have discovered that part of the upfit for the plant in 2015 was not done. So what we thought was gonna be helpful with the SCADA system is not even there. So we're gonna have to look at having that as an update. And that's the system to do the pre-treatment on chemicals, if I'm saying that correctly. So it was on the plans as being completed by Hobson Church, but it was not done.
That's the system for what?
The SCADA system
Uh-huh.
is a monitoring system for the pre-treatment.
Right, but what was not done that you thought was done?
It's a monitoring system for the pre-treatment chemicals.
PLCs, the PLC that controls the
Okay.
system, wasn't installed there, just the power on and off switch, but the communications to all the individual pumps were not installed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the UMA actuators that need to be changed out at the plant in order to get, I think we've discovered that some of them have been in since the 80s. And when we had a couple changed out, but the ones that are there are not made for a water plant function. And so they need to be changed out to the UMA actuators in order to make sure that they're running properly and what we need in that area. We are looking at, chemical increasing costs, but with the SCADA system and the filters, the way that Jason and the staff are running those, Michael's worked on a lot of that over this past year. It's gonna make a difference. We're gonna see, hopefully, even though chemical cost is going up, we're not gonna use as many chemicals in the process over the next year. On your sewer plant side, you've got, Troy asked for training and travel in order to get the departments or those in public works and in sewer trained and certified. And so we've got 4 people going. Well, we've got 2 from the water plant going at the end of the month to be certified. We have 4 going, 1 from public work, or 1 from sewer plant and 3 from public works. That'll be going at the end of this month to take testing as well. Different certifications, but we are working towards getting them the education that they need in order to feel comfortable and confident in their job. The laboratory floor and the vent for the toilets, automotive supply increase, and then departmental heaters is added into the departmental supplies. In the lab, it was needing a pH conductivity laboratory, if I'm saying that right. I hope I put all this in here. New metering pumps for the caustic, the 2 UMA actuators that were requested, and then upgrades for the sewer lines, which again, with the AIA study and the stormwater study, that's going to affect the cost of the sewer lines that could be installed or need to be replaced. But that's information that'll come once those studies are completed. We did have a request to provide you with uniform quotes. We have 2 separate companies. One is UniFirst and one is Cintas. They come in roughly about the same cost as what we project for our staff at about $500 to $600 per employee. We currently have, all departments have the uniform. If you look at this front page here, This is the uniform, roughly the uniform shirt that they have with short sleeve, and they have the pants and boots.
It's actually in the charcoal and blue striped.
Yeah, that's right, because you couldn't get the
I
other.
couldn't get it to change over, so. I showed
We
you.
do have, I mean, everyone already has the uniform shirts and pants, and I've spoken to department heads, and one of the things, you know, in the colder weather, the guys are having sweatshirts on or jackets. So, you know, when they're out working and they've got the sweatshirt or jacket on, it doesn't appear that they're in uniform. The uniform shirt's under their jacket or sweatshirt. Where Paula has ordered most of them a sweat jacket that has the town of Denton on the back. And then with them being on a site, I've asked Michael to make sure that they are in their safety vest. And that kind of identifies them as well.
How much are we paying now on uniforms?
We budget $500 per employee. So shirts run, they do boots, and then about 100, 125. That's usually what they are. And then the shirts and pants are about 300, somewhere around there. So 300, 325. Like I said, all current employees have these. They already have their own, and they have the town of Denton emblem. Troy's got, well, Jason has them on, and Michael both. They have these shirts that have their name and have the emblem on the chest.
And these have the same thing,
They will just have town of Denton patch, and then their name on the side, but they're patches. They're not the seal like those are. And then Troy has on the polos, which is what he decided to do for his department.
Are these just standard sizes? They don't custom tailor them to the employees at all?
Just small.
There are a upcharge for larger sizes, but no custom.
And when we've been with Centos before, but, you know, the complaint was always that the chemical that they treat and clean the clothes with, it does not leave the garment, so when you wear them, you're smelling that chemical all the time. So the guys just did not bring them back to laundry. We were paying for a service, basically just renting uniforms. I don't know anything about UniFirst. I've not had experience with them. I'm not sure if any of you guys have. Again, the guys have the uniform shirts now and are wearing them. It's just, in colder months, it just looks like they're out of uniform.
Do the uniforms get replaced yearly or just as they wear out, or?
If they, well, the ones that we have have been here just a little over a year, so if they need them replaced, we do. T-shirts seem to wear out a little bit quicker. Especially, at one time we've had the bright yellow so that they're visible. But, if they wear out, we replace them throughout the year. But, I believe, did we do 6 shirts when they come on board? Is it 5 or 6?
5 or 6.
Yeah. And then, you know, if they buy most of the guys in public works would just wear jeans. It's a little bit easier. It gives them a little bit more of a barrier than just the dress pant would or the work pant. So, you know, if they buy them on their own so they can get their own fit, they just turn the receipt in and be reimbursed for that.
The cost is about the same, I guess.
It is. It really is. It's,
At one time, we got jeans, didn't we, Michael?
we did Carhartt.
We've had every brand of jeans, anything.
Yeah.
Wranglers, Carhartt, Levi's.
And that was when we were with Centos. They provided a jean, what's that, actually Carhartt, I think, it was the last that we had.
But that's not a good fit across the board.
Yeah,
Some's gonna wear one style better than the other.
most definitely. So. And then, you know, this is, the quote is really only for short sleeve and pants. But then, you know, when you get into long sleeve, then that's an added cost because you've got the cost of having them tagged and then switching out from long sleeve to short sleeve. So there's additional cost to do that as well. And when we were with Centos, it seems like you guys had long sleeve and short sleeve, like 11 sets of each.
Yeah,
Seems
all
like,
we had was all ours, that short sleeve.
oh, okay. It seems like most of the guys, some of the guys had long sleeve, if I'm not mistaken.
On the water plant, most of that, or a lot of that stuff, Handy will share the cost, correct?
They do. It does figure into the cost of water. Yep,
Or they pay that front anyway, whichever they want to do.
that's true. We can do that. With the water plant, Jason's crew has the polos like, or the button downs like he's wearing. And then, some of them have the t-shirts that have the town emblem on them, depending on which way they would rather wear.
Just curious, are my actuators for the water plant different than the ones for the sewer?
Yeah, same actuators. The only difference is, Uma's is made for water, for the deck that's in there now. Hogs in it, or deck rings, the same, I don't know, it was not made for water, it was made for actually our damper. And it made an adapter plate to make it work for water, and it's not working very well.
Okay.
Any questions that you guys have, I can try to answer for you on any of the items that are on the budget.
You said something about pulling from fund balance.
We did, in order to balance the budget, it is
Where does that show?
first page.
And 398,000.
So it's 340,000. 100,000 of that is actually Powell money that we still have in excess. So, pulling that in this year in order to do our pave out, project. Let's see what I've got budgeted there. So looking at budgeting sidewalks and paving, which is 10,55076, and then also your power bill at 150,000 each. But 50,000 of that we need to reserve for utility patching, and also if there's some that we can reserve for the sidewalk project that we really desperately need to be looking at doing. We've got some areas of sidewalk. The area on South Main Street in front of Lanier's that needs to be replaced, and then the area from Pickett's to the post office, and then there's an area on North Main Street on the corner there as you turn left on the North Main. 3 different areas that would really be beneficial for us to take care of fixing this year.
So of the 340, 100, that's paid.
Yes.
That we've saved from.
That we've saved.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So we're really just pulling 240 that.
right.
Okay.
And then what we'll do, once the budget is approved in June, Chris will take these figures, Chris Coyer, excuse me, will take these figures out with what we've got projected for the next phase of the paving. Go ahead and get that in the works.
Are there other options besides pulling from fund balance?
The only other option that you can do is an increase in your property taxes. That's the only other place that revenue is going to increase. In looking at, if I did my calculations right, it would be, and I'm second guessing myself, I'm sorry, I'll look at it again. If you, depending on what you wanted to increase it by, let me pull my calculation back. I'm sorry, can't find it on here. cent increase, I know in the past we've looked at, and so I've been here 8 years, there's not been an increase on our property taxes. I think Mayor Warren said there's been one since he's been there. Do you remember how much of an increase that was?
When we did the 5 cent one for paving, it was like $12,000 is all it made to.
And that was 1 cent?
Yeah.
Was that what they did an increase to? I'm sorry, I should have wrote all this down, I just wrote one figure and that doesn't look right.
60 cents per thousand.
Yeah. So 1 cent looks like about $14,000 increase. So you're not, you know, to make a significant change, you're gonna have to raise it more than 1 cent. We are 60 cents and I had too many pieces of paper tonight. I have county rates too. So county rate currently is at 0.54.
Do we know what the budget's gonna look like when it's all said and done? Are we gonna have any fund balance back from this year?
We should have.
That's what.
We should have. We're not, the only area that, that we're gonna look at some overages in the water plant, but we've had so many breakdowns this year that has just warranted all the things that have gone on. I mean, every time we turn around.
And don't Handy back pay us?
They do. They pay a portion of the loan that we have. I think our payment's like $96,000. They pay half of that. And then they pay half of invoices that are for upgrades of breakdowns or upgrades to the actual manufacturing of water. So.
But with the price increase, they have to back pay us till January, right?
Yes. Well, let's see.
Till sometime.
So it runs fiscal year, July to June. When he does the cost of water, usually comes in about November, so then they'll do a back pay of anything from July usage to when we get that figure. And sometimes it's an adjustment to us and sometimes it's an adjustment to them, but they do.
But we know water's going up, we've already approved that. So we
Water's
know it's
going up.
coming.
Water's going up. It
But
is.
we've approved the new rates, what I'm getting at.
Yes.
If we increase property tax, I'm just asking, I'm not saying to do it, don't everybody freak out. But if we did, it would be effective when?
I believe you can still get it in this time if it's in by June the 25th. But I know the county is, they're just like us, they're in the middle of approving their budget. And I will have to check on that to see if it could be done for this year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either, and I looked a few minutes ago, Commissioner Bean, when you asked me that, but it's not listed on any of the state or county websites as to when that date is. But I can find that out and get that back to you.
I know that almost everything that is requested is really needed, and I know that you went bare backwards. Is there anything that could be eliminated that could help to make a difference?
Well,
Your bucket truck you use 3 times a year, 3 weeks a year or something?
we rented one this past year to do our Christmas lights, and it was $8,000 for a rental. And that was just to put them up. I don't remember what it was when we took them back down.
We used the old one, everything.
We used the old one to take them down. So,
That's half the cost. They pay for itself in 2 years.
But we did a lot of wiring this year, didn't we, Michael?
No, we got a lot of
Oh,
them.
Okay.
sorry, the bucket truck's 30,000,
Yeah.
sorry. I was in the service truck.
We were trying to do provision.
The fees change any, Angel?
the fees, I printed that off for you guys. I've got it for the next meeting, so that's when we'll look at having it approved, but, the fees all stay the same, except for the cost of our, like, town license plates have gone up to $5. That's just because the cost of having those made, and we sell those things out every year, so people still like to get a town of Denton sign, tag for their car. Looking at,
What's the downtown sponsor band?
that was when we were looking at doing the sponsor banners, and I'm gonna take that, we don't have that currently,
Okay.
so, that's something that, now that we've got the new poles, that maybe Duke Energy would approve us doing. And that cost may change, so I'll probably take that off until we know for sure if we can do that again. I did, if you look under the police department, under the golf cart registration, so we have a $25 fee for a new golf cart registration, and that's, if they've never had a golf cart registered through the town of Denton. The renewal cost every year is just $5. We mail out letters, starting in December to let them know that January 1st is time to renew their golf cart registration, bring in current liability insurance, and having them inspected at the police department. As of today, we still have about 20 carts that have not come in for that registration to be updated. We do, it's a $5 charge. So what I would like to propose is that anyone who doesn't have that as effective April 1st, the cost will go back to a new registration at $25. We're giving them 3 months to get that taken care of, and it is for their safety. We've had some issues with people calling in with children driving golf carts in town, and the rules of the road still apply. You have to be a licensed driver, and so the chief has got a copy of that he's handing out with all of the inspections that they've been doing. But it is a concern that people are not following those rules and taking the precautions that they need to.
What is the, what if they just don't get it renewed?
Well, they can lose their privileges based on our ordinance, and I apologize, I don't have all of that in my brain, but the chief might, since he just read it.
They'd be cited for ordinance violation, and of course that money would go to the court system.
Yeah. So.
So they could be fined?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think that it might encourage those that are not doing it as of this point next year to say, until March 31st, you can do your registration for $5, otherwise it'll be $25. The only other thing I believe that I'm proposing to increase is our zoning permits from 15 to 30, which is still very minimal compared to what other towns are charging. It is a lot of information that I do take consideration when I'm doing these zoning permits, but I'm not trying to punish people, but it just takes a lot of time, and I think that in order for us to recoup a little bit of that $30 is a reasonable increase on those. Everything else is remaining the same. Under Public Works, we did have listed out, like under fees for lot mowing and things like that. We don't do any of that abatement work anymore. We contract that out. We don't go on private property. So I just listed that any nuisance mowing and cleanup would be a contracted service, and it would be at whatever the rate is charged based on the individual doing the job for us. We've had mowing and we've had complete property cleanup. The last time that we did that, we worked with a really good company that did a great job, so we'll be using that company for any future site cleanups that we need to. Any other questions that you have? What we normally do is call for a public hearing, and so, we would make the budget, public for them to come in and review. Anybody can come in anytime between now and the public hearing, hold a public hearing, our first meeting in June. We can still make changes to the budget anytime between now and then. So anything that comes up, the reduction in our health care coverage and things like that, or anything that you guys would like to see us look to try to cover, as far as expenses, or looking at an increase in the property taxes. We would need to do that before the public hearing in June.
How much will that leave if we pull 240 out of fund balance? How much will that leave?
I knew you were gonna ask me that, but I'll have to email that to you.
Okay.
I will get that to you tomorrow. Let me make a note.
My biggest concern with that is we don't need to make this a habit.
Right. It is always better if we can support our budget by our revenues and not have to take it from the fund balance. I 100% agree with that. It's just that it seems that our costs have definitely increased over the years. The past 2 years especially, our costs are outweighing our revenues. And, you know, once all of the housing on Tower Mountain Estates is, you know, comes in, I mean, you're gonna see a good change in that. I mean, they still have most of Spring Street to sell. You're gonna see a significant increase in your ad valorem taxes at that time. But for us, in the general fund, it is based on just these figures, and there's not a lot that you can do to increase that. Most of them are driven by something else, and we don't have control over. Any questions, concerns, anything you want me to look at, any options you want us to explore?
Can we take this and chew on it?
Yeah.
And then give feedback? Because with having it just like handed
Right.
to us right here,
Absolutely.
right now, it's just kind of.
You can. What we normally do is present this tonight, present everything as a package. Go ahead and call for your public hearing, so that any time in between now and then, any concerns that you have, send them to me. Let's see what we can figure out, see what we can do, and if we need to call a special meeting just to review any of those requests that have come in, we absolutely can do that.
We can change it over here.
Yeah, you can change. Yeah, you can change it even through the public hearing.
Yeah.
So,
You don't have to.
yeah, yeah, it's not set in stone.
I'm still.
Yeah, you can. So, but, all right. So we're good tonight? Okay. If, the next item, Mayor, I'll let you go on with that
Off
one.
the public hearing.
So move, Mr. Mayor, is that what you want?
That's exactly what I want.
Second.
All in favor?
Motion
carries. Town Department Head reports. Police Department Chief Michael Bailey.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner. Pleased to report that Officer Jamal has been sworn in as a member of Denton PD. I'm currently training him. Officer Myers is near the end of her training period. She's actually working semi-alone with me, responding each time she stops a car or responds to a call, and she's doing very well. I wanted to work some night shifts before I completely release her, and hopefully we'll be doing that sometime this week. We did host the Governor's Highway Safety Checkpoint on April 27th, and we received 200 points for hosting that event. The Sheriff's Department, Lexington PD, and Thomasville PD were present, as well as the Batmobile. I think there were 60-some charges. 2 impaired drivers were arrested. Very successful event, and a lot of positive comments from our citizens as they came through. They were pleased to see the presence of law enforcement, and particularly on Highway 109. As you know, Captain Sher has retired on disability. and he requested to me and the manager that he would like his weapon presented if you see fit to do that, as well as a badge. He served the town about 8 years and 4 months. He would like to have a small retirement event, something low key, and would like the same type gun badge box that we presented to Chief Hicks upon his retirement. Very soon, I think the captain position will be posted, probably tomorrow, what Elizabeth has told me. So hopefully that will generate some interest, and maybe the sergeant position be posted as well. We have moved the radar speed sign to Bombay Road, and I tried to upload data today. It took me about 5 different cycles. Hopefully I've captured it. I didn't have time to get it all printed and compiled, but hopefully tomorrow I'll have success in doing that. Still waiting on the 25-mile-an-hour signs to be installed on Spring and Broad Streets. Once those are installed, we will be enforcing the 25-mile-an-hour speed zone there. Some time ago, I talked to you about the traffic direction position. At Denton Elementary School, I actually took some funds that Ms. Grubb cut me another check for to the school board, and I asked the question. I said, do you pay overtime to the Davidson Sheriff's officers? And he quickly says, no, we don't. I confirmed with the Sheriff's Department that fund actually comes from the Sheriff's budget. And what I think probably happened years ago, before they had SROs, maybe under Sheriff Hagee, I would about bet that he used those civil officers to direct traffic. That's remained in place. So now we have an SRO, and we have civil officers being paid overtime out of the county budget. So my plan is to continue doing what we're doing every morning at our cost, part of their hours work. The downside of that is till we get filled up, that officer's tied up and they can't be working radar for that 30 to 45 minutes they're directing traffic. But that is what it is. But I think that is very important. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Chief, while we have got that position posted, I mean, what does it take to post it? Is it something special?
Well, I think we're just about there. I had to review a post. Oh, okay. She's got it in her hand. I haven't seen it. I did have one person apply today, bring in a resume, who has worked with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department as an investigator. No supervisory experience, but that's something that we can do. And I hope that this will generate a lot of interest, and we'll get some good candidates. I need some relief. I used to see Chief Hicks and I said, Mark, you really look tired. I said, I'm a reserve. You want me to work for you tomorrow? And he'd say yes. I know very well what Mark meant when he said that. On call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. After a while, it'll wear on. So I'm sure we'll get some great candidates. We'll get that field. We'll get everybody trained, and I see great days ahead. I know our citizens are concerned, just like the gentleman that was here earlier. I'm with them. We're doing the best we can do with what we've got, but I promise you, it's going to get better.
I will say also, we had to develop a captain's job description. We did not have one. Whether there was one at some point in time, Chief and I didn't have a copy of it, so we pulled in and kind of collaborated on what needed to be in that job description. So in order to make sure that when we did get a candidate, we knew what credentials to look for.
Anything else at all?
Good job.
Thank you for your support. That means a lot. Thank you.
Anybody gonna report for Brandon tonight?
No, I don't, unless
Never.
Commissioner Morris wants to.
Public Works, Michael High.
I was going to say one thing, Mayor, if you will.
Yes, sir.
On Brandon, there's some new OSHA regulations coming down that could affect us immensely. I guess that'd be a word you use.
Well, if you want me to, I'll elaborate on that. So, Chief Dorsett came in, the office on Thursday and brought the stuff for the flex plan and then also the new regulations that are coming down. So, what part of this proposal is that, we will be required to have physicals for our volunteer firemen, and they will have to pass those physicals in order to be considered for a volunteer position. His concern is that's going to push us into a full-time fire department much quicker than what we had anticipated. It also affects those departments that provide services to us for a backup. If they are only volunteers, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if they're all volunteer, they don't have to have those physicals done. But if they support or help back up a department that does, then they have to comply as well. So it can hurt us in two different ways as far as our volunteers, which we over the years have had a really great volunteer fire department that has supported our night shift throughout the day when needed for backup as well. But there's some changes coming, and it's not good for us. It's not good for them.
But it hasn't been approved yet.
It has not been approved yet.
There's probably a lot of changes before it ever gets.
Yeah, and Brandon is actually going to submit. We talked about they're asking for a letter from the fire chiefs of each district to send in their concerns for these changes that are coming down. And I told him, if he didn't feel comfortable in compiling, if he'd give me some bullet points, I'll help him get this letter sent out so that we can make sure that they understand the impact that's going to have on smaller agencies. Larger agencies, Lexington, Thomasville, they already have those. I think he said it was like $35,000 for Lexington to do their annual.
We've done physicals in the past, we did do that. And we can pay for it out of the relief fund.
Yeah, he said he thought part of it could be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if all of it could be or not.
Another one of the big things is though, at 10 years, your frontline pumper's gotta go. You gotta have a new one every 10 years. On that day, when it falls, when 10 years rolls
Yeah,
around.
another one there.
And right now, ours will be $1 million probably.
Well, and that's what they're saying, is they really need people to write in
Yes.
and voice concerns with us, because, I mean, it can cripple
Yeah,
Smaller.
absolutely.
communities.
It sure can.
My guys don't need physicals. Our usual work, we went on and put the water and sewer taps in for business on 109, so not holding back. And we picked up the dump truck at 08 International today. You'll see it running around town and get tagged on it. Our usual
Don't
work.
tell the police chief, you don't have a tag on it.
That's why I'd rather here. But we've been helping Jason at the water plant trying to complete some projects. We just started down there to finish up. That's about it for us.
Go ahead. Jason.
So we've got a lot done this month. We did a valve rebuild for the surface wash on filters. Unfortunately, found out that some of the nozzle lines that go to the surface sweeps are out, so we're gonna have somebody come out, hopefully soon, to get those repaired so we can have the surface sweeps and the filters being washed correctly. Flow reading, so the finished water flow, it was reading 700 gallons per minute, even when we were shut down, that got fixed, so it shows 0 now when the plant shut down, so our flow totals to be correct now. We dropped basin 1 and 2, cleaned them out real good, sanitizing, so they're flowing good now, it's made a big difference. Had a dumpster put in for some of the sludge disposal, from what we were down there, so hopefully we'll get the drying bags in there, get the sludge in there, and be able to temporarily kind of get rid of it now before we figure out more of the long-term process on that. We got the pumps and rebuild kits for our carbon magnet. That'll help with the algae that can come through, and taste and odor problems, and THMs and things. That'll help with those pre-treatment. We had the new generators put in. One issue we had at the raw water pump station was when the generator kicked on, it would fire on both raw water pumps and it tripped it out. So we had the SCADA person go out there and reconfigure that to where there's a 30-second delay between pump 1 and pump 2 cutting on, and that took care of that. So it should, if we have a power outage, we'll handle that. We had both raw water pumps had issues this past month and had to be repaired and replaced. So we got that taken care of. We had plumbing issues where hot water was out, the shower was out. A lot of the faucets for the sinks we get samples from that went out. We had that taken care of. Some of the things that we're going to start working on more immediately is getting the nozzles repaired for the surface sweeps. Once again, we can get the filters being washed the way they should. The water use for handling has been significantly higher, even more so than normal for this time of year. With us running over 20 hours with both finished water pumps going, it's been hard to meet demand at times. We've had a computer, the desktop computer, that's gone out on us. We're working on getting that fixed now. Talked to Paul earlier on about that. Hopefully, this next month we'll have our 2 operators sit for the certification and get certified. We're going to work on getting quotes for the tube settlers and plate settlers to be installed hopefully soon. Hopefully before we go into winter, we'll get over there. That will save a lot of money with pre-treatment chemicals, because a lot of the stuff when you have to dump it before the filters, you've already put money into it with chemicals and it's just getting wasted out. So that will save money there. We just brought on a part-time operator. He started this past Saturday, so getting him trained and up to speed. Get him going this month. The 3rd finished water pump. We tried running that for a little bit. We had some more issues with that. We're waiting on Underwood. He's going to come out to adjust the RPMs on it. What's happened? He ran it. It couldn't overcome the force.
Scotty, it's not a serious issue. It's just a RPM change.
RPM change, yeah. So we're going to come out and adjust the RPMs on it to where it will be able to push out the water that we need it to. Right now, it just doesn't have enough to overcome the pressure in the system. Long term, we're looking at, once again, get the tube settlers installed, the SCADA, the second phase of it that's going to, we've kind of broken the SCADA into different builds instead of having like a real significant upfront cost at once. We're breaking it down into different sections. You can do it at an hourly rate. I can say with money, the next part's going to be flow pacing the raw flow and pacing the caustic and the alum, the 2 main chemicals that we use in pre-treatment, and pacing it with the flow coming in, so it'll automatically adjust based on the flow coming in, so we're not overfeeding and sending, using too much chemicals on pre-treatments. That'll save and it will help with operations, with operational error that may come up with overfeeding or underfeeding. We're looking to getting more. For the sludge disposal, we're going to look at getting a float decant pump to get rid of the clear water, but also getting either some kind of centrifuge or belt press to get rid of the sludge. Right now, like the dumpster being down there is temporary. So we're looking into how to get rid of that sludge a little bit easier, and then looking at longer term getting a 4th filter installed. That's where we're at now. Questions?
How much water do you average pumping a day?
Right now, we're up close to 2.8, 2.9.
Do you, excuse me, do you think Handy's got a big leak, or are you really using that much water?
Well, like you mentioned, they cut that 109 booster pump. When it runs, it really pulls from the drugstore tank, our main one here in Denton. And that thing ran for almost 5 days last week, and that was not only Byron Street being out of service right now. It'll just pull whatever's in the drugstore tank out real quick. So even if we're shut down for 8 hours, we can have that tank packed full by the time we start back up. It's almost empty at that point. I think it's a combination of them maybe not paying attention, letting water run over, or a leak. They haven't really communicated much with us, but
It would have helped if they told us this, but
Yeah.
Camp Walter Johnson's the one that's
it's been an issue the past week or two, keeping up with it. I mean, and just like I said, that 109 pump staying on for 4 or 5 days at a time has been that issue lately.
We'll bring that up in our meeting with them, when is it, June?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. But I guess it'll help you when Byron Street comes back online.
It'll help from, because that'll be another tank that will come from there instead of the drugstore tank right now.
Yeah.
It'll help some.
Give you 500,000 gallon more butter.
Yeah. Is there monthly bill reflecting?
It's not reflecting a huge amount of increase, but over,
So we're pumping more, but we're not selling more, so
well, it's not necessarily that we're not selling more. I mean, it's not a significant increase, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not
how much
Not
are we
looking at
selling? You got any idea?
500, you know. Do you remember what this last bill
I'm
is?
sorry. No, it was like 41,000, but I don't remember the gallons. Total
They're
gallons.
usually anywhere between 25 to 32 million per month. Last month, I think they were at 35 when we looked at it, so.
35 million, and we're pumping 60 million, and we're using a half a million. Say something not work right here. The numbers don't add up. And I mean, that's just a little short math.
Hey, the water meter is 30%.
Yeah, I mean, that's something.
I guarantee it.
And they got 35% loss.
Yeah, they do. We'll pull actual figures and send those to you, because I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not
Pull his figures that he's pumping and pull their figures. So something don't
Yeah,
jihad.
exactly.
Am I correct, Jason?
Sounds like something's off somewhere.
Okay.
We're sending a lot of water out.
I thought it was just me.
That would be a great way to look at that, you know?
Well, it's pretty simple,
How much
Mayor.
we
It's pretty
lose.
simple.
They find out what their 4 meters reading going in.
What we're pumping versus what we get paid for.
Yeah, and we know we're not selling over.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know that number too, what they're actually showing over their system.
Like I say, they're still, most of them actual meters are still, was put in by John Everhart, maybe Mark Hughes and John.
But they're still calibrated once a year, aren't they?
Supposed to be.
Yes, but,
Yes, but what?
I mean, you can calibrate a meter today, and you can, depending on the flow on it, you know, they calibrated at a high flow and at a real super low flow. That meter at 100 gallon a minute might not be picking up at 70 gallon a minute.
Whatever the problem, if it's that big a problem, we need to find out what it is.
Well, you know, when we was talking to radio read thing, I had that guy quote new meters for us at hand.
And I do have the other companies come in, I'm waiting on one more, so we'll have that presentation hopefully in June for the radio, read meters, or ANI, I think it's what they're called.
You don't need water meter.
Yeah, that's your revenue increase
Yeah.
on the enterprise fund. Absolutely.
On those automatic water meters, I hate to keep bringing that up, but, you know, they dropped the price to what, 219,000?
300.
It
I
was
think
a
it's
nice
390.
price drop.
Like I said, I've got 2 others in, and I'm waiting on one more, so that'll be your June meeting to consider for those.
If you don't
How do we pay for that? Just,
I will. The other one, for some reason, it's just taking them a lot longer. He stated that he was actually the dealer for these meters, but it's taking him longer to get quotes than the people who are selling them. So, but hopefully he'll have his in. If not, we'll just present what we have. The others are comparable to what Fort Line said, but you know, that's one that I would really like for us to look at, service versus cost too, because Fort Line has been really good at any time of day and night if we needed something.
And see what Wooten says. He should know what's the best.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll ask him too.
All
And it does-
these grants that we have, could they be used to pay for these meters?
Possibility, especially the state grant, because it was for the state budgeted money. That is direct money for the water, sewer, and infrastructure. So it could be used to cover that. And again, it will help generate revenue.
If we're losing,
Yeah.
you know, 30% sounds like a big number to me, but if we're losing 20,
We're not
that is
losing that much.
substantial.
That's Handy loses that much. That's their loss.
Really?
We only have an 8%, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interject.
no, sir.
We only have an 8% loss. That's what we had last year. It's one of the things that I calculate. Robin keeps up with it every month as far as industrial, institutional, commercial, and residential. So we can pull up quite easily how much our town is using, which it only averages about 41,000 gallons a day or something like that. It's just not as big as you think it would be.
Thank you. Okay, Paul, it's your turn.
I don't really have a lot to report. I'm still working on several of the items that I brought before you before, to sign, pergola, those types of things. So I don't really have any updates to give at this time on those.
Yeah, talking about the lighting on 109.
If you'll wait till my report, I'll talk about it.
Okay, I was gonna,
And we also need to get
okay,
Mr.
Don't
Branch.
forget Troy.
yes, I have got it. Troy, it's your turn.
Thanks, y'all. Now, mine's pretty simple. I attended the Yadkin PD River Basin Association quarterly meeting on the 5th. Let's see, we received the old generator from the water plant on the 9th. Sanford Electric will be installing it. It could be as early as this week, just depending on getting the crane. We did have a land application event on the 5th. We rebuilt an influent pump this past week. We conducted a loaded emergency generator test. That one went really well. We do that once a year. We will be conducting quarterly extended testing this week. And I guess the big thing is we'll be flushing fire hydrants this week and collecting samples for trihalomethanes and HAA5s in the water system. So you may see some hydrants on. There'll be our sign out there. That's about it.
Did you get Heather to help you pick up when you went to land application?
I didn't call the
Did she say she would?
Me and David handled it.
Town attorney.
Well, it's good to be back. Thank you for allowing me to miss last month's meeting after Easter. I enjoyed some time at the beach with family, and it was quite lovely and much needed. And came home only to have David get sick with mono and end up in the hospital. So he's out now doing better. I was able to go back to school on Thursday, and luckily nobody else has gotten mono. I have given you a copy of an agreement. We had talked about the nuisance and cleanup for Farmbrook, I think's the name of it.
49 Farmbrook.
And it seems to be an ongoing process, and Angel may touch on this as well. There had been some cleanup costs, but there have been additional costs. So we don't have the final amount, and she was gonna check with Ace and see where they were in coming up with their final amount and actually placing the lien. But you guys had tasked me with, let's move forward with a foreclosure of this lien once it's placed. So I have given you a copy of the proposed agreement from the Kenya Law Firm. Kenya Law Firm is the firm that does all of the tax foreclosures for the county. And they also are doing the nuisance lien foreclosures for the city of Thomasville as well. So this is an agreement that would not only be for this property, but any other properties that you needed this done on in the future. And basically, they would do the foreclosure for their attorney's fees would be $1,700. Now, in addition to that, you have the court costs and filing fees. The way that works is if there is a third-party bidder that comes in and actually buys it, then those fees are coming out of that sales price. So the only time the town is actually paying it is if the town is the high bidder and takes the property back at the actual foreclosure proceeding. So in the event that that is something that you want to move forward with, you would ignore the part here where it says Town of Denton Tax Department, and you would just be signing here at the bottom so that we can authorize them to move forward once the actual liens were in place.
Apologize for over speaking. The liens, part of the liens have been applied, and the second half for the last cleanup and the yard mowing still needs to be filed. And Paula was reaching out to them today, but looking at approximately $6,000 in costs that we've incurred over the last 18 months for this one property.
6,000.
Yes.
And it's still continuing to be an issue?
And it is still continuing to be an issue. The property owners are back on property, and from day one, continue to throw their trash and items out. They are checking on minimum housing code because water is not on, and the activities that are taking place outside of the house are not very healthy for the environment as well. So they're checking on.
Who is they, Ace?
Yes, they're looking into the health department side of it because of the other conditions that they're now seeing from the last cleanup plus mowings that we've had done. Trash is back in the yard. The property looked really great after that last cleanup, but there's bags of garbage just sitting around.
So the town is continuing to pay money to just getting an issue.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to move forward with table law firm.
I second it.
Second. Any further discussion needed? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry.
And the only other thing that I had,
Great.
which Angel may discuss this more with you, was the railroad agreement. Yeah, I had reviewed, she had sent that to me, it was to replace the safety crossing. And I had reviewed the agreement and sent it back to her. I didn't get it back to her as early this morning as I anticipated. I don't see any issues other than the ones that you brought to light. I made a couple of typographical errors on that, corrections on that, but other than that, I think everything's fine there.
Sounds good.
Angel, you're at date.
So the only other thing I have, I'll just be brief, two things. The railroad crossing that you guys asked about, they did send in an agreement and it is for the town. What our responsibility would be going forward, there is that monthly or annual fee that we'll have to pay to DOT for that crossing maintenance agreement.
It was half of the maintenance.
Yeah.
So we're responsible for 50% of the maintenance, which they equated to currently $1,700.
Yeah, $1,700 going forward once it's installed and active, which is minimal compared to what, if we initiated this crossing, we would have to be 100% of the cost. It is going to be covered still by that grant. I reached out to them and said, there's so much time that's elapsed, is it still possible to be covered by a grant? And they said it was. So they will cover that cost in there.
The only other question I had is, would we actually do the roadway work, or are we contracting the roadway work?
Well, it's a DOT. Well, no, it's our road. Yeah.
Because it said municipality would be responsible for the roadway work or contracting the roadway work. So that was one of the questions that I had
I'll look
sent.
at
And I
that.
apologize that I did not get that to you earlier this
That's no
morning.
problem. I'll look at that in the morning and see if that warrants us or them. Because I think that was one of the concerns they had, and it was also that if the grant fell through, we're responsible for the cost of it. That kind of scared me a little bit, but he said that he's not had one not paid for through the grant.
Do we pay any maintenance on the crossing that we have now?
That's a DOT crossing.
DOT.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have any on that one.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to bring to you, I have the agreement from Energy United to place 5 lights at the south end of town on 109. They're at Tractor Supply. It is at a cost of $56.75 per month, and that is for a period of 1 year to pay for the cost of the installation. And then from going forward from there, it would be a monthly bill rate of $10.65 plus sales tax on those lights. The lights
Is that per light?
Yes, $10.65. $56.75, I think is total. The build out cost is, I apologize, complete cost is $594. They're given a credit because the wooden poles are already in place. So final cost difference is $258.17 for those. The lights on,
Any motion on that?
yes, if you'll give me a minute. Let me do this one too. Let's see if we want to do both at one time. Duke Energy is proposing 10 lights at the north end of town. So that would be coming in starting about where Handy's driveway is on 109. That's our town limit. Coming down to 3rd Street, maybe there about Farmer Denton Road. So that little span of area. 5 on each side. There's already one current light in place, but they would like to replace that one so that they're all uniform. It's 10 lights. That would be at a cost of $210 a month for 5 years, which is $12,600 for the build out. Now, one thing that I do want to go back to him is, I've been contacting him several times on this. We have been talking to him for at least, if not a year, at least a year on this project. And he informed me today that the cost, had increased. But we've been talking to them for a year, so we shouldn't pay for the fact that they've been dragging their feet on getting this project completed. So I am going to go back and see if we can get any less of a rate on this due to the fact that we've been dealing with them for quite some time.
And what was the total of 5 years?
Total was $12,600.
After the 5 years, what's it go to? With our normal light bill, I guess?
Well, I asked that question too, and he said that it was a going forward of $210. Now, I can't
Per
imagine.
per month, per year?
Per month. And we now pay minimal. Some of the lights that we've added across town, the additional there at Farmer Denton Road, Ivy Street, increase of about $30 a month. Not very much. But I don't think he understood my question back to him, which was, at the end of this period, what is our monthly responsibility? So a couple things I want to go back to him and say. Number one, what is it after the 5 years? And number two, can you not give us a better rate on this based on the fact that we've been dealing with you for a year? And the other ones that we've done, the build out on Broad Street was a complete new build out. It was not, we didn't see this turnaround. It was just a monthly fee of about, $35, very minimal. This is not. If you want to make the motion to approve the Energy United and then Duke Energy based on, we can hold it just knowing that it's there. It's up to you guys which way you want to go on that one.
Looks like
It's
we
a lot
need
of
to
money.
just do Energy United.
Yeah,
and wait
since we
to
have
hear
an
back
actual
from
cost.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know that
So
they know what
we
they're
can get a
doing.
motion to approve that one. We can move forward on that installation. He said they could have it installed in the next, he said the next 2 to 3 weeks is what he hoped to have on Energy United.
I make a motion to move with Energy United and let that get started. And wait till you get more T's crossed and
I will.
I's dotted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. When you talk to you, is there any way we can brighten up the existing lights? Ask them that.
We just put new
I
lights
know.
in everywhere.
Tell dimmer?
It's still,
What they need to do is fix the purple ones and turn them back to light.
Anytime you
I
see
see
a
them
purple
everywhere.
Anytime you see a purple one, there's you go to Duke Energy, report a light, you can report a purple light. And same with potholes. If you guys will go to NCDOT or
We just
let
want
us
to report to you and
or report it to us, and we can do it.
while we're
So,
on that, the
Yeah.
one at the police department,
Mhm.
the back parking lot is not working.
Is that one of our spotlights?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one that faces the jail or the Old Town Works, not working.
Oh, both of them? Okay. We'll definitely see that one's been replaced recently.
And I don't know if you know it, but the light top of the hill on Denton sign.
Still not working.
It's not working.
Michael.
Michael,
Still
fix
not
the damn light.
He had to rewire the whole thing because they kept taking his wires down, so it has been a struggle for him to get that light back up.
I got it on schedule.
Yeah, move it up.
Is there any other
There
questions?
is a work order.
Yeah, there is a work order in for it.
Commissioner comments and concerns.
I have 3 questions. First, where are we on the website?
It's not up.
I'll let you address that.
They're still working on it.
This is ridiculous.
It has taken much longer than I expected, but it's very complex with all the different reports and so forth. So I can ask tomorrow to get an
Who's
update.
they?
Slam dot.
Slam Dot is who
Okay.
Elizabeth is working with. So she gives them stuff, they work on it, they come back to her, she gives them more stuff, and mean, it's.
Is it us not getting to her quick enough, or?
I don't think it's that. I think it's just the whole process. I mean, there's a lot of, applications, forms, all of that. I think it's where she's at this point. So.
Pull it up, right? I didn't look.
I will say, it is a complete changeover from the program that our website is written under. We're changing it to a different type of program. So it's basically a complete rewrite, but they're trying to incorporate all of our forms and ordinances and things like that into this without having to, recreate those as well. But they're
So
taking it from
it won't be launched into us. I mean, it'll be a complete.
It can't go.
It will. No, it's not a partial.
And how long has this been going on?
because it's a Java, we are on Java now and it's going to a WordPress. So.
But they're also factoring this in. They're taking every current piece of data and they're working through all of the details. Is it current? Is it not current? Does it need to be
Yeah,
on
but it shouldn't
here?
take.
Well, it
Rocket
shouldn't.
scientists.
Well, if you want it done right, I mean, I understand the need for it to be completed, but you don't want to
But
do
they
something
can't.
together.
They can't launch it and then add to it. How are they going to add to it?
Well, once we launch it, the stuff that's added to it, we have to pay for. So we're trying to get as much pushed in and then trained to do it ourselves. So.
Second question. Where are the stop signs for Baldwin Spring?
They're on the order.
Okay,
They
that's what I
are,
thought.
and they told me it would be several weeks
Okay.
before they had them completed.
Third question, and I had talked to you the other day about this. The drainage at short stops is dramatically different than it is at DG Market. I mean, short stops gets to have a thing coming down that empties onto the highway, whereas DG Market has to have a whole huge pond. Why the difference?
It's DOT requirements. It is based on just like the fact that DG Market is having a dedicated turn lane and shortstop is not required to have one. I did reach out to them about that particular question early on, and they said it's based on the location of the property and taking into consideration it's there at a stoplight or close to one. Because I feel like that's going to be a question when someone comes back and says, why did they have to do it and they didn't? There again, just like we said, the drains coming off that property, it's designed, that is a requirement from DOT, and it'll have to be something that they're looking at. I did reach out to the maintenance yard just to let them know that is a concern. It's not just the front coming off of 109, but it's the side going into Advance as well.
Right.
So, and we know that, well, I don't know if you guys noticed over the weekend, but because of all the rain, that retaining pond there at the DG Market, it had water in it.
Yes,
I
had
mean,
a lot.
it's doing the purpose that it's designed to do, but it had a lot in it.
Yeah,
So it is a concern, especially you don't want to force any more water out onto the main road with the traffic. So
yeah, that was the reason I was concerned about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's everything I have.
Anyone else? If not, I'm going to move to announcements. In cares of the Piedmont 5K walk run, May 18th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Memorial Day service, May 27th, 2024 at 3 p.m. Should be a real nice service. We got the flags in the park. Is that number correct on the budget? You collected $2,800?
Isn't that what we collected?
That
I
was
didn't look at the total.
for right now.
If you did that much, you're going to have a really.
We have a large number of flags that will be placed in the park.
I think I indicated on the email that, there's 19 people who lost their lives in battle, so those are honored. And then I want to think she said that maybe 70.
I was thinking around 70, 79
It's going to
or
be really
something.
nice. We're going to really promote it out. I talked to Kelly at the Orator about doing an article. A lot of information, history that's been.
I think you need to call the newspaper and let
We're going to do that and also call.
Does it have a newspaper?
We're going to also
Kinda.
call.
Once in a while.
We're going to also reach out to local news, Channel 2, Channel 8, just to let them know that, hey, this is something that we're doing. I think it's a great feature Lots of information's been gathered, and I'll say that Troy Branch has been a great asset to us in figuring out ranking and things like that for people that we just really didn't know. So I appreciate his input on all of that too. But it's going to be a really nice asset to the memorial celebration. And someone's wanting to provide food. Who was
Yes,
that?
the Woodmen of the
Women of the
World.
world.
They're gonna be handing out flags, bottled water, and refreshments.
Oh, that's wonderful. Kathy called me, wanting to do something, and I said, call y'all, because that's something we need
Yeah.
for Memorial Days.
Absolutely.
Summer kickoff, June 1st, 2024, 6 p.m. Park, movie in the park at the same time. Central Church is involved. Hot dogs and movie in the park. It should be a nice event.
They're showing Waka, the new one.
And I have a motion second. for
Hey,
adjournment.
Mayor, I have one more question, just to rub salt in the wound.
Sure.
What about town hall? Are we gonna hear anything from Mr., what's his name, or where we at on that?
Well, kind of going back to our budget discussion, you know, in looking at what we could possibly put in the budget for a payment for a town hall building, we don't have it right now. I mean, we are not supporting our budget based on our revenues. We don't have money to put towards, a payment towards town hall. Now, once our budget is solely supported on its own, that's when you can look at that. I don't know what direction to go. Right now, the budget is very tight and it's revenue underfunded.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. We are now adjourned.
I can't believe we're gonna go